My name is Rhiannon, and I'm a knitter living in Milwaukee, Wisconsin with my wife and our 2 cats. In today's episode, I'm going to share with you what I've been working on, and that is going to include knitting and painting projects. And I'm going to talk a little bit about some acquisitions that are yarn adjacent and what I've been watching and, entertainment for knitting. So if that's interesting to you, stay tuned. I'm gonna lose my glasses because they're really smudgy and I don't want that to be on the screen. So now my eyes aren't perfectly focused. Just deal with it, okay? So the first thing that I've been working on is a little kitty blanket that I shared last time, and I talked about how I use projects like this to sort of try out new yarns. So this was my first time working with Rowan felted tweed, and it's just a big garter stitch rectangle. I found that cats really enjoy garter stitch, and it's easy to do, so that's a great way to try a new yarn. This other yarn, I can't remember exactly what it is, but I know it's something from Retrosaria Rosa Pomar yarns, and it was some special collaboration where somebody did like a hand-dyed speckled version of their regular sock yarn, I think. So that's the state of this project. Really not much to say about it, other than it's great for when I'm hanging out with friends or watching TV and I just want to do simple knitting. The next project I want to share is also an acquisition of sorts. So my friends and I had a Secret Santa craft exchange, and we were able to use an app called Elfster to, you could enter in sort of what you're looking for. And for me, I was like, I have plenty of yarn. I don't need more yarn. I just put, I think, like handmade and some colors that I wanted. And my friend made me this beautiful bag, and it's quilted and it's really solid and sturdy and it stands up on its own, so it's great. So that's an acquisition. But the project that's inside of it is my hibernal hat. So this is a pattern by Summer Lee, and I'm using Hedgehog Fibers Tweedy. And the colorway is I don't know the colorway. I'll put it in here. But it's this really cute hat pattern that has this little faux cable detail. I'm making mine with a brim that folds up, so it will actually be like this. Not like that long of a ribbing, but I just didn't even really gauge swatch because I don't believe in gauge swatching for something as small as a hat. I think the hat is the gauge swatch, and if I have to pull it out, then I have to pull it out. But I started with a US 3 for the ribbing. The pattern says to just continue with the same size needle, but I actually went up a needle for a 4 because I do like my hats to have a tight brim but a little more room on top so my hair doesn't get squished as much. And I think it's gonna fit really nicely. I think it's gonna be snug, but not too snug, because especially once I wash it and block it too, it's gonna be a little bit, more loose. So yeah, I just really love this pattern. I love that the pattern author, Summer Lee, she did plenty of samples so you can see what it looks like in a solid color as well as this speckled or like a variegated yarn. I can imagine doing more versions of this because I certainly have plenty of like single skeins of DK yarn that would be great for it. And because I know the pattern looks good in different types of yarns, I think I will want to do it again. I am kind of on a hat kick, or like feeling the vibes of knitting smaller projects right now. And I'm still plugging away on one sweater project that I've had for quite a while. So that is my Niji. I went ahead and finished the sleeves on it before I finished the bottom. This is something I just do now, especially when I don't know how much length I can get. So what I'm wearing right now is the gel tunic that I knit last year, or more than last year. I knit this in 2024. And I love that it's like a long tunic, and I noticed that in the winter I do want my sweaters to be kind of longer because I'm wearing jeans a lot of the time. So with this one, I didn't make it as oversized as the pattern said to make it, but I am gonna knit it longer so that I have kind of like hip coverage, like low hip, you know, want it to end like kind of at the bottom of the hip curve. So I went ahead and, like I said, finished the sleeves. I really love finishing the sleeves with the tubular bind off. And then I did this split back collar, which I think is really cute. One thing I didn't realize from looking at the photo is that it's not actually split all the way down. It's just like the top portion of it that's split. And I think that's fine. I think it's pretty cute. I did kind of, I don't know, it surprised me, I'll say that. But now I'm just gonna be knitting, and I think I wanna do like 2 more inches, and then I think I want the ribbing at the bottom, instead of 4 inches or whatever the pattern recommends, I want it to be more like the 2.5, 3 inches of the cuffs. So that's nearly done, and it's living in this bag with another kind of knitting adjacent acquisition, which is some enamel pins. So I feel like enamel pins are knitting adjacent because they're made for knitting bags, right? That's why they exist, for knitters. And so these are 2 of my favorite characters from the AMC version of Interview with the Vampire. And I got these off of Etsy from a store. The artist name is Bat Milk. If you just look at Etsy Bat Milk, you're gonna come up with some gross, like people are selling like literal milk of bats, but I think the store is called Drink Bat Milk. So all one word. I'll put a link, how about that? Because it's really cute stuff. So that's a little bit of a sense of, now I'm gonna talk about what I've been watching and listening to. So obviously I have watched AMC's Interview with the Vampire. I'm on my 2nd rewatch of it. It's a really good show, okay? And I'm a big Vampire Chronicles girly. I don't know if I've talked about that on this channel before, but I've been an Anne Rice fan for over 20 years. So it's kind of like the Lord of the Rings of it all. Like, it's always just kind of like something that's like cyclically I get more, you know, like worked up in my fandomness. But so those enamel pins are kind of like related to my whole Vampire Chronicles love. You're going to be seeing me do video reviews of all of the books in the series. I'm actually going to read them in order, maybe for the first time ever. I don't know that I must have read them all in order before, but when I first read them, I didn't read them in order. I think I just read them, and, you know, it was like I would go to a bookstore and whatever one was there, I would be like, okay, I'm going to read that one now. As part of the adaptation that AMC is doing, they've also adapted Anne Rice's Mayfair Witches books, which are in the same universe as the vampires, and they do cross over. And they've also made a TV series called Talamasca, which is based on the Vampire Chronicles. There's this like secret paranormal investigator agency that's international, and they keep tabs on what all of these witches and vampires and demons and whatnot are doing around the world. And, you know, they're kind of like, we don't intervene, but like they totally do. They intervene all the time. One of the Talamasca agents is like a major character in the Vampire Chronicles. So they're all up in each other's business. Like, it's not So anyways, I watched the Mayfair Witches show. Um, I liked it. I didn't really understand it, and I wonder if reading the books will change that for me, because the only one of the books I had read before was Merrick, which is technically part of the Vampire Chronicles series. So who knows? And then I just started watching the Talamasca show. And that's not really based on a separate series. It's sort of more, I think what they're doing is they're trying to like lay the groundwork for, you know, for you to understand kind of like what this agency is and what it does and how it operates, so that when all of these shows roll back up into one, or they, you know, characters from one show start showing up on another, you have kind of a more cohesive view of the, what they're calling the like immortal universe. Yeah, so I don't know. No judgment so far. I am enjoying Talamasca. It makes more sense kind of immediately, and there's actors in it that I really like, so you know, that helps. Another thing that I just watched that I would really recommend to everyone is The Testament of Anne Lee. It's a movie about the Shaker movement, which was one of America's first cults slash one of the first religious communities in the United States, I guess is maybe a nicer way of putting it. But, you know, I'm very interested in religious stuff, cults, stories about niche religions. I enjoy that kind of content. That's kind of why I like Anne Rice's work, because there's definitely cults and weird religious stuff in her books. That was something she was also fascinated with. But this one is a much more, I would say, just a straightforward telling of the events of Anne Lee's life. She was a woman from Manchester who became a leader in the Quaker movement, in the Methodist Church. You know, a lot of these early sects of Christianity were to some degree overlapped, right? And she became quickly a leader in that group, and they called her Mother Anne. She set out with a group of followers to establish a colony, or, you know, like not a colony, a little town, a community in the United States back before it was the United States. And they learned how to make furniture, which became like a really important American heritage craft. So you will see furniture that says, you know, Shaker style. They literally became more, over the years, known for their furniture than for their religious movement, which is, I think it's so fascinating because the way that it's presented in the movie is sort of like, you know, they believed in industry, they believed in virtue. It's not telling you the flip side, but I know that the flip side is that in many cults there is a product, there is a series of classes you can take, or there is a musical production, or there is you know, some kind of product, and that one of the primary things that cults do is exploit people's labor, right? Because it's the sort of like virtue thing to be working hard all the time, but also it's a way that some people can enrich themselves is by exploiting the labor of others. And if you're raised to believe that you should constantly labor and that your communal labor is a contribution to the greater good, you don't question it so much. So it was very interesting to watch this movie that sort of presented things from their perspective without any kind of judgment. And there were some scenes where they showed just like people making furniture, right? Like people doing woodworking, and really showed these beautiful products that they created. I also really loved that they incorporated traditional Shaker music. So like the kind of hymns that people would sing at their meetings throughout the movie. And they show Anne Lee being, you know, like imprisoned or traveling, and she's singing these songs, and the cast of the movie are the ones actually performing them, which is really cool. There is like backing choirs, and sometimes there's like more, but it was such a neat thing to see music used in a film in a way that it's like, it's not a musical. It's not like they're advancing the plot by singing the music, but they are also telling a story and giving you a sense of like kind of a visceral experience of what this world sounded like and looked like and all of that. So I highly recommend it. Amanda Seyfried is incredible. I've been a big fan of hers for a long time, and I think she just continues to amaze with the way that she chooses, the role she chooses, and the way that she becomes the character she plays. So it's just a real treat to see her in this too. Okay, I am really almost done. I only have one other thing to share, and that is that I've been taking a painting class, and I thought I would share some of my paintings that I've created. So I work in a building that has a lot of artists and art studios and galleries, and one of the artists offers painting classes, and I thought, I need to get out of the house in the winter. I need a reason to, you know, like stop and focus and actually paint, because I have been wanting to paint. Mostly, you know, it's as crafters, we just sometimes we lock in with our craft, and then we're like, okay, now I need a new one because I want to be in that beginner mode again. And I was really hoping just to like pick up some techniques for how to create the kinds of textures and colors that I want. So I really feel like that's happening. This is a painting I did that I just called it fruit or pomegranate. But you know, the assignment was about light, medium, and dark values. And so I've sort of landed on this like sky blue and then this like coral color as colors I want to keep working with. And then sort of like a blackberry-ish color. So then I took the same colors and I was practicing a technique of using like a I mean, it's literally just like a piece of cardboard, but like carding the paint across the surface so that you create different like smears and different things. And I'm really pleased with it. Like, I wish you could see, maybe you can see, there's like a lot of texture in this. So I was just sort of learning how to create different textures and mixtures of stuff, and I'm having a lot of fun. And we live in dark times, so I think it's important to keep yourself in that mode of, I can learn things, I can be enjoying something. Like, I think it's important to just like put it on your calendar, right? And so maybe it's not a painting class for you, but maybe it's that, you know, once a week you're gonna do you're gonna just like sit and listen to an album that you love, or listen to a new album or something. But just maintaining those practices that put you in a space of discovery and creativity and enjoying art, it's just really, really helpful. And I'm feeling right now like I need as much of that as I can get. So there's my advice. You can take that 2 cents to the bank. I'm gonna wrap this up, and I hope that when I record next, I will have a finished object to show you, because I've been working on things for quite a while. All right, thanks. Bye.